Just to explain, we are not a centralized company. We have this kind of Bitalo AG, which will take some kind of financial license that we can do all this kind of exchange stuff. But we have lots of projects. So we are more project-based, and every project has its own, let's say, legal entity, and they're doing their own kind of stuff. And this wallet, which I just explained, it's perfectly free of charge. And I want to encourage you. We have this open source API. You can just Google Bitalo API, and you can set up your own service based on this technology for free, and just integrate it in whatever you want to do. If you want to do some Uber service, just do it, and you can do it with this kind of escrow model. And it's all open source, also to make it secure, because otherwise people need to follow the steps. Otherwise, you can have some secret mechanism to steal coins. But this is why it's open source.
Yeah. So thank you for your presentation. I think this is really the key basic issue that we have to solve.
Yes, that's a basic
storage
control over the bitcoins.
Safe storage, because we still cannot compete with a standard banking system where if shit happens, I am pretty well insured, especially because I'm not super rich. So, I'm insured until a certain amount. And I think, the Greenbit it's called, right? They do the same
green address, yes.
Or green address, they do the similar thing. And I think it's really cool. You've solved at least sort of the mullahs of the world and the sort of scam artists who steal money. There's still, I'm not sure what the answer is, but there's still, of course, one element that has not been solved by that, and that's human stupidity. So, or stupidity, ignorance, two different things. I lose my private key.
Yes.
And the thing is, I sometimes, maybe we can solve that in a very good way as well. I honestly think that maybe in the future it comes down to using notaries or something like this and having some.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's the answer, but I have the suspicion that I don't know how we're going to get around solving that problem.
That's actually because of course all the backup, because you don't have your private key at your side, because it's encrypted on the server, so you don't see it yourself. You can of course copy it out and install it somewhere else. Yeah. But as a stupid user, the usability is really high, because you don't have to deal with keys. It's just the website is exactly the same as any other website. Like you have some online wallet, and you don't see this kind of technical system in the background. And the only thing is, of course, when you forget your password, then you're screwed. So you have some kind of recovery key, but when you forget your password and your recovery key, then that's human stupidity element, which we cannot solve.
Well, we can solve it. The problem is the only way we can solve it is by using, for instance, notaries and things like this. And that's
I think we should have a service like that. Yes, of course, why not? For people who want extra protection, they can use it as an additional service.
Yes, the extra protection is to write down the password and give it to an
It could be a very simple way. You can close self-addressed envelope, which you seal. You can write down your password. That could be mailed out to a certain address.
Do you know the comedian Chris Rock? I think he summarizes the problem really well. He's like, you always know when you're using Wi-Fi at your parents' house because it's some really long, strange password. Nobody remembers it. And it's on a piece of paper somewhere that nobody can find.
Yeah.
And I think this is exactly the problem. Like, us, we realize here how important this is, but, my mom, I just write it down somewhere, put it on the kitchen, whatever. Oh, I forgot it, can you tell me? And this is...
Or should you use a password like, log me in?
Yes, log me in.
Exactly, something stupid like that. But anyway, I do think it's really cool what you're doing, because I do think it's part of the solution in getting to the sort of solving these problems, but anyway.
I think so too, because even if you can get things completely decentralized, there will be many users that won't use that. Just like many users are not actually running the Bitcoin client with its blockchain.
No, so the interesting thing is, because we looked into completely decentralized solutions, because there are many. There's this open bazaar and these kind of solutions. But this is not really any useful in my opinion, because either you have this wallets where you have to overpay. So when you buy something for 1 Bitcoin, you have to do it in 10 steps and split it into 10 parts. Or you have to overpay, like you have to pay in 2 Bitcoin to buy something for 1 Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And then still, you have the problem you cannot solve all escrow cases, because there are many cases, for example, when the seller is not malicious because he has no incentive or whatever, but he simply dies in a car accident. It doesn't matter because
That's why
why?
we need lawyers in courts.
It doesn't matter when he doesn't have any incentive, but there are many cases which the complete decentralized model cannot solve. And this is where we want to step in. So we are some kind of centralized escrow, and we have of course a huge reputation issue. So we have no incentive to scam any escrow and team up with a malicious user, because that's basically the business model. But on the other hand, you don't have to give us any trust, because the coins are not in the escrow unless it's really like this kind of very small amounts during the escrow, and only when buyer and seller don't agree. And in my opinion, that's one service which what the Bitcoin community definitely needs, because so far, I mean, even after Bitstamp, we lost 15,000 Bitcoins, and people are still using it. So the people in the Bitcoin community are still not so much aware of how important this is. But in my opinion, as soon as this kind of euro crisis escalates more and more, the more control mechanisms will be established, and the more, let's say, to some kind of socialist environment we will get. And in this kind of sense, this kind of keeping control over your own money will in the future become so much more important, what people at the moment don't realize yet. And so we want to be technologically prepared for that, and also build up all the other services on top of this kind of secure environment. Because this is limitless. I mean, you can do whatever, trade, and then also if you use Bitcoin for this kind of person-to-person exchange. But I also explained in the beginning, because for example, if I give you a haircut, I don't need to invest any money or something. I just need some scissors, and it's like the service. And even when there's some Bitcoin price fluctuating, it still might be worth to do some kind of business or like private business in this kind of environment. Because if I take 20 euros or 18 euros for the haircut, like in Bitcoin, it's not so critical as if I have some kind of real business with small profit margin, where every kind of fluctuation is immediately deadly for the whole business supply chain. But also because you also will see increasing kind of unemployment in the future, in my opinion, because more and more people will be underemployed, let's say. Underemployed is maybe the best word. They have some internships, they have some kind of paid job, but they don't get enough out, and they want to earn something extra. And for this thing, Bitcoin is just the perfect solution. Because you can easily rent out something what you already have. You can sell your used stuff, you can do some kind of haircut for the neighbor, and you just need some kind of website, and you can have even the money transfer outside of your bank account. This is, in my opinion, the real future, when, let's say, the regulation is getting tighter and tighter, and people are getting more oppressed because they need to rescue the current system. People are looking for alternatives, and I mean, me, because I'm from Germany, and I know also from the eastern part, they had this kind of super suppressive system in the end, and no one had any freedom to do any business, but still people were doing it. And like after the Second World War, the Germans with their inflated currency, they were using cigarettes as currency, and they have traded on the black market with cigarettes, and it was just not only hobby. It was of course they didn't quit their job to do this on a professional level, but they were just doing this also to support their families and so on, and especially the tighter all the regulation gets and so on, the more it will go to this kind of semi-professional level, in my opinion. And that's also, in my opinion, a very good development, because it shows people want to do something, and they want to create a service, and they want to create an added value for consumers. And even like in Eastern Germany, they were using whatever building materials as currency, because they didn't get the stuff in the supermarket. And nowadays we are so much farther away, because like so much ahead. We have now digital currencies. It's just a free agreement between people, and even when the price is fluctuating, I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter so much when it's like on this kind of private level, where you anyway don't have this kind of accounting and so on. And it's just my idea of Bitcoin, and I think it also contradicts to whatever we heard yesterday, where everybody tried to push it, and then why do banks like Ripple better than Bitcoin? they're all right. When you think in these terms of the regular system, what we have now, you don't need Bitcoin. If you just want to go to the supermarket and buy your stuff and you think everything is fine, don't use Bitcoin. Because you don't need it. So if you want to buy a frozen pizza in a supermarket, you don't need gold, you don't need Bitcoin. You just need some kind of Apple Pay or whatever. This is just a matter of convenience. But all the people who are in Bitcoin, I think they're all thinking a step further. And I think they're all right. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. Can you use it with a hardware wallet?
We don't have hardware wallet implementations yet, but it's possible in the future. But we don't see any added security from a hardware wallet, except that you have one extra step on top. So, but I think it's possible to have.
It's like two-factor, right? Instead of your phone or something, you use the.
No, the hardware wallets they feel like encrypted private keys, and you can exchange them somehow.
Yeah.
But they have some interfaces to. I think Green Address they also do this already with hardware wallets. But me personally, I didn't see any added value from that. It's only when you anyway have it, and you still don't want to use the online storage. But we have other